let's get started. Welcome back to Power 97.5 LA, iHeartRadio, Power B 97.5 Vegas, iGlobal Media. I am so excited about right now because I curated the Jamir Smith Show in 2020 in Washington, D.C., and it is where culture and creativity and courage meets the microphone. And today we shine a literal and figurative light on LightUp. Ryan Ashley Lowery, the powerful hybrid film blending documentary and lyrical storytelling to reveal how embracing truth becomes our superpower. It premiered at the 2024 BronzeLens Film Festival. The film features honest and breathtaking stories from same gender loving men and a transgender woman, each learning that self acceptance is its own kind of magic. Everyone, welcome to Power 97.5 LA. Woo! So on the call today, and we ain't got everybody on from the cast, but I'm super excited that we do have some very amazing, beautiful figures. When we think of footprints and blueprints and people that have really done some amazing things, I'm so excited to even just have this call. And I want to start with just thanking you all for your story. I want to thank you all just for your footprint. I want to thank you for just all the things that you have done, and the incredible journey that this is taking you guys. Ryan, I want to go with you first. Take us back to the moment when LightUp was born, and what pain, joy, or questions kind of sparked this idea?
If I can go all the way back, probably to childhood, to not seeing a reflection of myself. I grew up in Gastonia, North Carolina, a small town outside of Charlotte. And, growing up knowing that I was different than everyone else, having to keep my sexuality a secret, not being able to reveal that I have a crush on another boy, I just really felt alone. So I think at that moment, being, an empathetic kid and being someone that was always looking out for others, that moment may have been the birth of LightUp, of not wanting anyone else to have to go through something I went through. Just feeling not seen. So.
I mean, well, this is the thing. You fuse poetry, faith, and color, and what emotions kind of lead with blending of mediums, right? With this cast, how did you choose the cast, and what did you see in each of them?
I saw a light. I mean, the show is called LightUp,
Right.
and you see these three brilliant gentlemen on this, Zoom today, and they just have the energy, right? If you're going to work with someone, you want the energy to be in the right space, and also what they were able to do in their respective areas. Octavius is lighting up the world of fashion, but also just being an amazing person, is bringing love and joy to every situation. The same thing with Ben, same thing with Obio. Obio lighting up social media, but also I feel like God had his hand in directing and choosing. I had an idea, but God did give me a vision, and they also had to reciprocate, say yes once I asked. So I
Yeah.
think a higher power, everything coming together for the good of the Lord.
Yeah. Well, I think also, I mean, when you think of just this cast, right? You were the writer director. Benjamin Carlton, of course, is on the call. We have Derek Johnson that is also a part of it, as well as Obio Jones is in the building. We're so excited to always have him. Octavius Terry, who just celebrated his birthday, 25 years old. And, we have Simone Ticci, who literally is the epitome of what a light is and how people are just navigating through the transgender world. For everybody on this call, all of your stories, when I got to see the premiere here in Los Angeles, all of your stories have an immense courage, right? And as you navigate just life, right? Benjamin, I want to start with you. You've always been vocal about purpose and advocacy. What does authenticity kind of look like after being a part of LightUp?
Well, one, I want to say I'm excited to see you in your light. We've hung out so many times, but I've never heard this radio voice in my life. So
I was gonna say
you
you have not. You have not.
You in your element. This is giving me all the chills and butterflies to see you shine. I believe that living in your authenticity is being who the divine whatever source you divine, whatever source you have for the divine created you to be, and
Yeah.
allowing the world to adjust.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we adjust for the world, when in actuality, we were created so that the world adjusts to us. You know,
Mm.
when you walk into a space, that space adjusts to you being there. Oftentimes we're taught to hide ourselves, fit in, assimilate. And by the time we get to the place of being our authentic self, we're so
Yeah.
unapologetic, we're so angry, we're doing it the wrong way. So
Right. Right.
you want to push everybody else out the way so you can yourself. But if you would have just adopted the love of self earlier, the world would adjust to you a little bit more cleanly.
Obio, was there any moment on set that completely shifted your perspective of yourself or others?
Mm, what a question. I feel like I was fairly early in even honoring my truth out loud, you know? So that was my first time kind of being in a space where I wasn't alone talking about my sexuality, you
Yeah.
know? Because I did it talking to a camera or my phone. I didn't do it talking to actual people. So I feel like it was just transformative altogether, you know, just being vulnerable. There was a time when I was recording where I think it was Ryan or someone on the staff was like, "Hey, let's pause," and like kind of like centered me a little bit more. And
Okay.
I think there was something grounding about that, right? Like
Yeah.
I think I was 27, maybe 28, you know, and so I was in my 20s talking about being gay, and I'm still in the South with it. So it was a very interesting and transformative experience altogether.
Octavius, I feel like I've known you forever at this point. And I think the beauty of your story is it's a lot of people. I think that we've seen a lot on social media that we're like, wow, he went there. As someone that is known for design and creativity, how did the film's visual world mirror the creative identities of each one of the participants, kind of like in your story?
Yeah, it's so funny. And then Jimmy, it's so funny. That little clip that comes up when everybody is doing the I think just recently, you were actually at that show,
I
and that was
was.
Atlanta Fashion Week. You were actually
I
in the audience.
was.
And yeah, we hadn't even known you were already there. So yeah. Um to answer your question, I think, you know, as a designer, I am a visual person, and I think that the beauty of this film is that we participated, and these guys can chime in too. I think it was like over a 3 or 4 year period, right? We
Wow.
didn't know what anybody else was doing, and then Ryan came to us and said, "This is getting ready to happen." But just being able to tell my story, and like you said, this visual tapestry and everything like that, I had no idea what I was doing. And then it's so funny how the stories just kind of intertwined. And I think just the beauty of it and the transformative nature of it. I think it was caught on tape live when Ben and I had met because we actually were taping the same day. We didn't know each other, and I was just telling my story and that little clip at the end, it was just, I mean, it was really unscripted. The fact that he said that I gave him the courage
Yeah.
to do that. And, I just celebrated being 53 on Friday, but I just remember how much fear I had in that moment,
Yeah.
standing before 30 million people, not thinking that it was going to be transformative or to give this visual narrative to anybody else. And I just did what I did and moved on. And here you go, like years and years later, that you feel like you had an effect on some people. And I guess I'm answering more than one question at one time, but I think
No, it's okay. Yeah.
I thought at that moment, I knew this documentary was going to be great because internally it was already feeling good that day, and now we're here. So, and thank you, Ryan, for including me on this thing, on this ride.
Thank you for being a part.
And
Bring it right.
the ride, I have to say, has been beautiful and authentic. And I think listening and seeing all of the comments on social media, and I know Ryan and everyone on the call has probably seen everyone and how proud they are, and looking at 90% on Rotten Tomatoes and just seeing how many more people are just really being, seeing themselves and happy to be able to see other people that we followed for years, their stories. For everybody on the call, and Ryan, you can start with, you created something unapologetically Black and queer at a time when those narratives that we are experiencing right now are often muted. What does representation mean to you beyond visibility?
It's interesting. I think when we created this documentary, when we first shot was 2021, and then it kind of was wrapping things around 2024. And around 2024, kind of like being gay, being trans, it was
Yeah.
in. And I was like, there's gonna be more of documentaries like this stuff out there, content like this out there. But now that we've regressed and
Yeah.
we have who we have in the Oval Office, it's even more imperative for us to see a reflection of ourselves out here. And that's why it was so critical just to have a diversity of representation, not only masculine men, feminine more presented men, trans women, but so everyone can see a reflection of who they are. And also, these stories are just a human story. We all happen to be gay or same gender loving men, but everyone struggles with some form of not being able to be themselves, right? And so I
Yeah.
want the audience to connect with that part of them, that may have been hidden or it may have they stored away or whether it's you want to be an artist or you want to travel around the world or whatever you want to be, just be yourself. And as you be yourself, great things that happen.
Yeah, I'm like, be yourself. But no, if anybody else wants to comment on that about, really what does representation kind of mean beyond visibility?
We aren't our best selves until we feel like we belong somewhere.
Yeah.
So representation allows us to find our place in space in this big old world. Because we are not, although we are unique individual selves with our unique individual fingerprints, there's plenty of other people just like us. And we just need to find that space where we belong, right? And that always doesn't come from friends, family, church, society that you grew up in. Sometimes you got to step out of your boundaries and go find where you belong. I heard a quote not too long ago that said, travel until your soul speaks to you. And that's what I live on. I just travel until my soul speaks to me until I find belonging. So representation is just a signal like, hey, it's some people like you over here. You're not alone. You're not weird. You're not an abomination. You're not going to hell. Come join us. So
Yeah.
I think that's why it's important.
Obio, I want to start with you when you think about representation and faith and really culture. What stereotypes or narratives did you all consciously want to kind of dismantle through this film?
Yeah, I think I just didn't. It's funny because I didn't know a lot of things about myself prior to being chronically online, right? Like, because I think a lot of people don't understand. You're not getting double tapped in real life, right? Like, no, I'm not getting a like as I walk down the street. And so I didn't really know how I came. But I didn't know how I came across. So I'm met with a lot of like things about myself that I didn't necessarily believe, all this masculinity stuff. And I didn't, if you grow up gay in the South, people are often policing your masculinity, right? So it often feels like you don't have it, So I didn't consider me this masculine leaning person because, everybody's like, he a little gay. Yeah,
Right,
sure.
right.
So we all grew up with those kind of stuff. And so I'm like, I'm masculine? Okay, sure. And so, I think for me online, I'm just like learning myself. I think at this point, I'm kind of understanding myself, but I think I went through this point of time where I was just like, oh, like being gay is not just about whether or not you're feminine or masculine. There's all these hierarchical, characteristics that, put you in this category or that category or promiscuity or all of these things that it's like, it was way more judgment than I think I knew.
Yeah.
So I think that altered my position online as well. It was like, oh, I have a bigger thing to discuss. Let's talk about some of these like microcosms. Let's talk about some of these real things that are affecting the community that don't mean anything. And I think it led me to talk about just a lot of stigmas that were unnecessary and a lot of isolation and outcasting that happens within the community. And I think we touched on that in the series as well. Even Ben's story, I was so moved by some of his comments around Christianity and it restructured my thinking around it, right? Like, even like, do I have to be Christian, right?
Yeah.
Like, is it a space in that space for me? Do I have to sit there? And I think, the documentary and what my own space online has showed me is so much around like, oh, there really isn't, and it sounds really buzzy, but there isn't this monolith to being gay. There really is nuance and beauty, even in the intricacies in which we exist.
Yeah, no, very true. And I think, Octavius, when I look at the film, it really does kind of radiate joy even through pain, right? How did you maintain hope within your stories?
Well, that's a good question. I'll do that, and I'll piggyback on the first question about like dismantling things. At 53, I've become this fashion designer that I wanted to do a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it's like what Obio said. Growing up, for me, at 53, there was no internet, there was no
Yeah.
Obio, there was nobody. And the epitome of being a fashion designer was you were automatically gay. So I went the other way and became a professional athlete and did everything that I could stereotypically do that was masculine. And
Mhm.
I got inducted to the Hall of Fame and did all these things. But I had to, unmantle, the fact that being gay doesn't mean that you have to have these stereotypical things. Because I was, even though I became, got into the Hall of Fame of sports, there was still an emptiness about me not being truly authentic. And then, me being a fashion designer, I just, now I feel that it's not a gay job. It's not a gay thing,
Yeah.
And so I'm excited. So what was the other question? I got caught up in that because I was like,
No,
that's
no, no. I think
that was the reason my career was because of my sexuality, really. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, and the other question was, what does representation kind of mean to you beyond visibility?
Yeah, yeah, just being authentic. I think that if anybody's out there listening, whether you're gay or not, I mean, if you're not being authentic, you haven't really met yourself yet. You know what I mean? So that's what I kind of tell the younger self of myself is nobody's really met you yet until
Yeah.
you become authentic. Yeah.
I remember in 2020 when I curated the Jamir Smith show and it kind of like blew up and iHeartRadio heard it and all of the things. And they said, I want you to keep this last part of your show because it's called a therapy session. And when I think of you guys' story, the film, and healing and the human connection, to everybody, we can start with Ryan. What did filming Light Up teach you about community, right? Because, Obio, you talk a lot about this, in a lot of panels and discussions, and Ben, you said a lot of it, with online, and even most recently, all of us are really just talking about, especially in the spaces that we're in right now, community, community, community. Um, what did Light Up teach you about community and really about chosen family, right, and collective healing?
Really, when I was really interested when I was thinking about making this film, I had others in mind. In the
Mm,
process, I went on my own journey, spiritual journey, and own healing through hearing these gentlemen's and Simone and Derek's story, where there were some things in me that were not healed, and that ended up coming out and playing. I'm not gonna give too much of it away, but like through having these vulnerable moments with these individuals,
yeah,
it breeds intimacy, it breeds connectivity. You all have went through this common bond, and I'm just so grateful and honored that they would share their story with me. I mean, they could have shared it with anybody, and the
yeah,
fact that they trusted me with their story, again, that breeded another level of gratefulness. And I think we all gotten closer because of this film. Some people met a part, just by being a part of this film, and we kind of formed a brotherhood, and it's been beautiful to see.
yeah.
So
Octavius.
my
Oh,
favorite for you.
that's okay.
Sorry, I got this crazy long guy here, but yeah, I just echo everything that Ryan said. I mean, just being in the community with it. I actually just ran into Simone Tichy where she and I were judges on this thing on Saturday, and it was almost like being a part of family. It was like we grabbed each other. We hadn't seen each other since the film, and here we are, and it's like we've gone through this thing together. And I agree with Ryan. It's just like you're part of this universe, and people recognize my story, and they tell me about my story before I even see them at like the grocery store and all this, all these things. So that's been exciting, and just community within this. And then I don't know if you guys know this, but that was my mom's first time ever seeing the documentary of me sharing that. She didn't know I had shared that story about me as a young child, and that was
Wow.
a sad moment and it was an exciting moment. But she loved it. She was so excited to see it. But that was the first time seeing it, like when it first came out a couple of weeks ago. So I
Wow.
thank you for even being able to do that with my mom. Yeah,
Woo.
yeah.
Those moments. Ben, if you want to chime into that as well, too.
The greatest feedback that I've heard about the film is how it pulls on the heartstrings and the emotions of people watching. And the line that has been common from everybody is, I saw myself.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what community is to us, is seeing ourselves in other people, seeing our struggles, seeing our triumphs, seeing the things that we think are our deficits or the things that we believe, are our scars, when really they are our superpowers. They are the things that make us who we are and make us the light that shine in the world. And so You know, Simone's story really helped a lot of people understand, you know, the house community and why that community is so important, and how we are the spaces, you know, when the world tells us to be quiet, shut up, go live in the dark, you find community that elevates your genius and elevates your beauty and elevates whoever you are and just lifts you up. And so I think community is us seeing ourselves and being able to triumph over the many, many things that have been laid out before us to keep us down, whether it be religion, politics, family, racism, bigotry. We overcome it.
Yeah.
We overcome it. And that's what community is to me.
Obio, same. Light It Up taught you what about community and also about just chosen family?
It's funny because when I came out the closet, I was on this quest to find people who I thought were very, very similar to myself, right? I wanted to find somebody who had a very similar upbringing, background, looked like me damn near, right? But I think what it taught me was that what I really wanted to find was authentic people. And I think that was like the core of what builds community. We don't have to necessarily be in the same walk of life. We ain't got to present the same way, do the same things. But you just feel, what's the word? You feel a sense of self around people who also feel a sense of themselves. You know what I mean? And I think throughout my journey, through my sexuality, I've just found myself within proximity to people who are just themselves. And not for nothing, I don't know that I have any friends who are a lot like me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I don't think that I'm similar to my friends in that way. Like,
Yeah.
you know, me and Ben will have conversations sometimes, and I'm like, we couldn't be more opposite. But like we'd be on other sides of the world. But I really enjoy being in community, right? Like, you know, and I'd be like, even like I show up at Octavius' house back when I was in Atlanta. We on the couch, and could not be very different, but also find so much safety and just sit on the couch parlaying and just having a conversation. So I think community is more about authenticity than it is about finding your twin.
Yeah. Ben and Octavius, you guys talked about this a little bit, but when we think of representation for trans women of color, even specifically, it remains super scarce. How do you hope, and Ryan and anyone else also can talk, well, how do you hope this film shifts that conversation?
Growing up, and I talk about it in the film, where I had fear and phobias of the transgender community and drag queen community, etc. And it was not so much of what I saw, but the stories that were told about them.
Okay.
All the negative narrative.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I put myself in a position to experience the human in each person, no matter gender, no matter our whatever we're assigned at birth, I experienced the human, all that went out the door.
Okay.
So my hope is that the film combats all the negative narratives that drive people to treat people wrong, that drive people to ignore our trans men and our trans women, that drives people to go crazy about bathrooms and crazy about sports and all these things that don't matter. And so until we experience one another on a human to human level, we'll allow those narratives to drive our decision, which ultimately allows us to support policy that demeans livelihoods. And so hope is that it combats the negative narratives.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, I think that I'm like, man, I think I had a fear of the trans world because of proximity and me trying to be in Atlanta and not knowing anybody that was like me. I mean, because, you know, like Stasha, I knew these people in the dark, but was afraid to talk to them in the daytime. And now that I'm at 53, I mean, the world needs to know that these are the bravest people on this earth to be able to walk in their true authentic self and show it on the outside. I didn't realize how brave they were. And instead of me thinking that proximity would get me up, I should have been gravitating to that, because those were the ones that were leading the charge and being the most authentic. That's what I realized out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Obio, I know you touched on it earlier, and then we can hit Ryan. But when it comes to the trans community and representation, how do you hope the presence of this film shifts that narrative?
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't have any understanding of the trans community growing up. I didn't know they existed. I was that buried in the closet. I didn't even know it was a thing. And so I love the fact that somebody's first interaction with a transgender woman could be this film. Right.
Yeah.
And imagine it being your first understanding of that and it being so loving. Because that's what I got lucky. I got lucky. My first encounter wasn't fear because I didn't know anything about it. I just got to learn. And I think having a film where you get to learn first opposed to judge first is going to be such a beautiful thing for the community.
Yeah, right.
That's so good.
That was
Yeah.
not gonna hold you. That was good. That was good.
Yeah, we talk about it in this film. There's even a lot of prejudice within this lifestyle, within the gay community against trans people. When I was contemplating who to invite to be a part of LightUp, I even had a few friends like, we don't need to tell a trans story. They're different. They have their own stuff. And, one friend said, don't do it. But recently that person watched LightUp. He said, I'm so glad you did not listen to me. I'm so glad I learned so much about Simone. Like she was my favorite, and that really was the goal, to force people, I wanted to get a diverse set of people to force people to watch other different types of people's story.
Yeah.
And so we can empathize and see that we're more connected and we're more alike than different in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And so I wanted the film to show that, and that really hit home. And he said, "Man, I'm so glad you didn't listen to me." He's my big brother too. He's like, so.
Watching these stories unfold, and this is for everybody. What personal healing did you walk away with as a creator? Brian, we can start with you.
To allow room for spontaneity. I had a plan, I had a vision, I had a storyboard, but just allow the stories to unfold as they happen on set as well. Allow the moments to happen. Allow Ben and Octavius to have that moment at the end where, they don't necessarily recognize each other until like the very end of the film. I don't get too much away, but to allow it to happen, to capture it on film, as well as there was a cinematographer that was there, and he was talking about his son coming out to him at age 6. And he said, my main goal was to make sure he feel loved and supported. And when he was talking about that story, it just hit me. And I just broke down crying, saying, thank you. Thank you for being the father to your son that, in certain ways, I wish my father could have been to me, and so that really hit me. I didn't know that I was wrestling with that piece, And so, yeah.
Those aha moments, Octavius. When you think about, just these stories and how they've unfolded, right? What healing did you walk away as a creator?
As a creator, for me, every time I've seen the film, and like I said, me being 53, I look at all those monumental moments that I had and the fear I had in it about, my constant imposter syndrome, growing up, and, hopefully nobody's recognizing I'm gay because I'm doing this. So when I walked away from the film, I literally was like, I'm going to take the day off tomorrow because I was like, I've done a lot. And I didn't realize that as a creator that I've done so much, and I'm still just striving for this perfection to not always feel like an imposter, and even as a gay man. But I think it strengthened my own self-belief, and I think that people need to hear that because everybody thinks they see me. I'm more shy than anybody in person, but it doesn't look like that. But as a creator,
I'm like, who, you?
I know. I walked away as a creator thinking that, you just have to kind of be yourself, be authentic, be bold, and be inspiring, and everything else will kind of just fall in place. That's every time I saw it, I looked at that for myself personally. Yeah.
Obio, as a creator, because listen, you online. What did you walk away with after this film as a creator?
Yeah, I think before doing it, I felt like there were some topics I did not want to talk about, right? It was like, I don't know, I was being really judicial around the things I wanted to talk about. I think after doing it, I was like, there's no more limitations.
Yeah.
Because I think it's just necessary to be heard, right? I think so much about everyone's stories, the nuance, whether it was religion, sexual promiscuity, identity, poverty, like it was just so many things that made us all feel seen. And I think for myself included, it was like, oh, there's a lot of power in our stories. I don't think I felt like my story was that robust. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm sure my story is identical to so many other people. Like it ain't that deep. But now I'm realizing those little intricacies and those nuances, they're important to share. So
yep. And of course, Ben, how did this change you as a creative?
Most people know me, know I'm very polished. I present very well. Everything has to be darn near perfect. I grew up in a very public facing family. And so a lot of the truths I've shared, many people had never heard. And I was cringing as I watched the film. I still cringe today at some of the things I shared, like, oh my God, you said that? And so, it was healing though to get it out.
Yeah.
Right. Because many people would judge me and say, you haven't gone through nothing.
Yeah.
You life has been good for you. I'm like, you don't know half the stuff I've been through. That's why I don't wear my issues on my sleeves. And so it created a space where I was okay sharing the ugly truth and not hiding behind it.
Mm.
So although I still cringe at some of the things I shared, I'm happy I did.
I want to get into two questions that we were able to get when people heard that you guys were going to be on the show. Of course, the questions went crazy, so we were only able to get two because I was like, we ain't got that much time. And this is for everybody. First question comes from Christopher. Christopher is out of Brooklyn, New York. He says, if someone struggling with identity or faith watches Light Up tonight, what message do you each hope that they carry with them? And we can start with Ben.
The person you need to believe in the most is yourself. If you are looking for any external validation, whether it come from religion, family, other people, it's going to disappoint you.
Yeah.
But if you can believe in yourself, you will never have to search for God. If you can believe in yourself, you'll never have to look for purpose. And so my hope is that people walk away with a stronger connection to who the God is that's inside of them.
Now, I'm gonna let Ben go last. I mean, how am I supposed to follow that up?
I listen. That's for the reason I made sure I put him first because I was like, all right, now they got to shoot to the stars. Obio, what about you?
I'm not gonna lie, ditto to what Ben said. Ladies and gentlemen, Ben.
Ben, oh, exactly. Octavius, and you
Yeah, I mean, like what Ben said. I mean, I grew up in the Southern Baptist church where you are constantly told that you were made in God's image, and so I echo that you are, as long as you continue to be your authentic self, and you follow your inner compass, that is God.
Right.
You are worthy. You are created in His image. You are already enough. You don't need to do anything more. You don't need to achieve anything more. God created you in His perfect image. You're enough, and we see you and we love you.
The next question comes from Brandon, and he is out of Miami. His was just he says, was there a moment on set that any of you, it made you realize that I am not alone? And I know we kind of touched on that, but if you want to start, Ryan.
Yeah. I mean, all the stories. I mean, all the stories resonated with me in some way. The fact that these people would come and share their story with me, trusting me. I've never made a documentary before.
Yeah.
I felt like I'm not alone. They have me. Also, Derek J's a part of the film. I was a part of his documentary, Gay Like Me. And so that's community. So he was paying it forward. He's paying it, he was doing me a favor. And so that's community. I felt like I'm not alone. So by them saying yes, and I know they're very busy people. I know they have a lot going on. They got a lot of demands, and by them participating in this film, it made me feel like I'm not alone. And then the beautiful feedback that we've gotten from people who watch, and this film is resonating with them. It lets me know further that, that this film has a greater purpose, and that again, I'm not alone. And it's a broader community there to support us, right? And really interesting that someone posted, gave us like 10 negative reviews on IMDb, and we think it was some faith-based or some right-wing organization. But once Ben put that online, we had all this rapid response of people coming together, giving us positive reviews that we really deserve, right? We didn't deserve those 10 ones like within an hour, right? So now we have a great rating, and the ratings speak more to what the perception of the film actually is. So had our back. My folks had my back. So
we got your back. Anybody else want to touch on if you did not feel alone, or you're not feeling alone after watching this? Or you guys are in it, but making this, but even watching it again, was there a moment that you just finally felt I am not alone?
It wasn't until, I had a chance to understand everybody that was a part And I was like, wow, each person that was a part has had a huge impact on culture, a huge impact on culture, straight culture, gay culture, black culture. And I was like, oh, me too. I've had impact on culture. Wow, I'm at the same level as these people. Because I think Ryan and I were talking about like followings, et cetera. And I was like, well, my following's growing. It's not as big as, Obio's or Derek J or something. But I begin to see how my life has impacted culture as well, just like everybody else. And there was a moment where Obio talked about like the fear he felt after having connection and fun with another guy. And you would have thought I murdered someone after that fun and connection, the guilt that I carried, the repentance, and I'm walking around, Lord, forgive me, don't send me to hell. And I realized, oh, I wasn't the only one walking around scared after existing.
Exactly.
Take that how you want it, but it was amazing to see other people and their stories and how much we were aligned.
I love it. Octavius and Obio.
I was going to say, I love the fact that I felt like I wasn't alone when we all took what we thought was a negative and we still talk about it, that through line of it being a superpower. And I think if even the younger me, if you could just walk away instead of being fearful, change that. And I think it is what has made us all excel and over excel, that we've used it to our advantage in a positive way. Yeah.
Love it. Obio.
At the time of doing it was different than seeing it, but because at the time of doing it, hearing a grown man call themselves gay it was always like music to my ears. That sounds kind of weird, but that was what it was for me. Because even when I came out of the closet, I would say things like I like guys, or I've experienced guys, but I would never self-identify as gay. It took me a very long time to consider me gay. Like gay was too much. I can tell you, I had a few interactions with guys. I've had sex with a guy, but gay is, girl, hold on, pump your brakes, And so I think to like see guys and hear guys say I am gay was like, oh shoot, like these people are bold. Am I that bold? Like, am I bold like that? Like, am I like this is kind of huge, So I think like anytime seeing any man just be bold about who they are made me feel less alone, and just being a part of a documentary where people are just being bold the entire time just makes you feel like so communal.
Light It Up is more than just cinema. It really is a testimony. It is a memory, but also it is a mirror. And Ryan Ashley Lowery, I love saying your last name.
Yes,
I want
Mama.
to say it is luminous to see this beautiful cast of people that remind us that our greatest power begins with the moment that we stop hiding and start shining. With everyone on the call, our last question is, how do you define light and how do you protect yours? Ryan, I can start with you. How do you define light today?
Light is an invisible energy that you can't see, but you can feel. When you walk into a space, when you interact with someone, you feel the glow, you feel the goodness of a person. So the aura that you bring into a space is how I, define light, what energy. And my grandfather was really my greatest hero. He didn't graduate from high school. He didn't even graduate from elementary school. But one thing he had was a beautiful light. And I remember when he passed away, he had people from all over the community, from drug dealers to pastors to clergymen, all come to his funeral. And the number one thing they said is they always felt better when it was in his presence. They left presence feeling better than before they came. And so really that's how I want people to feel about myself. And so that energy.
Octavius?
When I think of light, I think of it's kind of what Obio said. When you own your authenticity, I mean, people see you radiate. They see you shine. Like you don't even have to say anything when you walk into a room. Even though I'm shy, I hear these things like, "Oh, when you walk into a room," I was like, "Me," and like I think it's just because I am more confident when the day that I accepted myself of who I was, and now I think that it just again it radiates through your whole body, and people see it, and people gravitate to it. You don't even know why, but I think that that's what I consider a light, like being able to to walk into a room and hold conversations with people that may have seen or may not know, but they feel that there's something that you embody that you want to talk about. And I am completely authentic about who I am. It's like what Obio said. It's like, I remember a time when he used to hear people say I was gay. I don't know if Ryan remember, but anytime you would say gay, you would whisper it. You was like, I think he's gay, you know. But to be able to say that out loud now is a power. And I think, you know, that radiation becomes your superpower. And so I embody that now. I'm more confident and accepting of myself now. I don't know if it's age or it's documentary or something, but just this new age of, I wish I was who I am now when I was a lot younger. So I would say that because of all of everything. Yeah.
And you had to experience life to get to the place of where you're at now, which is much appreciated. So,
Thank you.
Obio?
Yeah, I think simply put, light to me feels like just truth, right? Like just being who you are. When I think of like a light, I think of it like making something clearer, right? And I think your truth will make a lot of things more clear. It will give you the clarity you're looking for. Even for myself now, there's certain things that I don't understand. I'm still journeying through this big world, but I think a lot of it feels a lot more safe, comfortable, direction field because I have truth. And I think it's easier to be yourself than it is to pretend like somebody else.
Love it. And last but not least, Benjamin.
And God said, let there be light. Light is soul force. There was void in the earth until God said, let there be light. Everything came on.
Yeah.
Light is where we get our energy from. Light is where we source. You know, I just posted about our Black melanated skin being able to take light and turn it into energy and heat, and we can thrive and shine even when we're under fire and under pressure. And so light is that soul force that is eternal. From the beginning of time to the end of the time, that light will never go out. And we have an opportunity to tap into it if we choose to, because it is available to us. Light is love, light is peace. And I protect it by one, minding my own business, and minding the business that pays me, and not caring. I don't care. Opinions of people, opinions of the world are not going to stop the little bit of time I have to enjoy that light on earth.
Listen, I appreciate all of you. You can stream LightUp now on Amazon Prime Video, Plex, on Tubi. What am I missing, Ryan? Yes.
More platforms to come. More platforms to come.
And I was saying, I want everyone to make sure that they support LightUp Doc and Instagram, and make sure you shoot messages and DM the folks and all of the things. As we wrap our show, any last words you want to leave with people that have not seen the film? Any last words you want to leave about yourself, about life? We can start with Ben. Any last words?
You only got one life. You better go ahead and live it, because when it's over, ain't no do-overs.
That's it. Yeah. Obio.
I would say be yourself and find other people who are being themselves.
Yeah. Octavius.
I would say, it's kind of like what Ben said, ride this thing so the wheels fall off. But I would also say, remember that you are the first time that you have ever happened. So don't allow anybody to tell you what you can or cannot do. If it exists, you can do it. So
it's a good thing when everybody's face starts getting tight. Like, wait a minute, for real, you did that. And writer director Ryan Ashley Lowery.
I would say don't put limits on yourself of what you can do. I never thought I would be a filmmaker. Never thought I'd be a model. I never thought I'd be a lot of things. But stay curious. A lot of times people tell people to follow their passion. And that's a lot of weight, a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Sometimes a passion. So follow your curiosity, and it may lead to your passion. And I believe that curiosity led me to LightUp. So stay curious.
I love it. As we always say on Power 97.5 LA, on Power B 97.5 Vegas, on iGlobal Media and iHeartRadio, the JS Journals and Jamir Smith Show. Stay positive, but stay creative. Until next time, thank you guys for tuning in. And make sure you stream this amazing documentary, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.